Hello everybody, welcome to another little video today. Just a quickie before we start. Obviously it's Beatle Dave, so this is a channel all about the Beatles, whether that be records, LPs, singles, EPs, CDs, books, films, etc. But it is also a record collecting YouTube site as well. So we do artists on other people from time to time. So it's basically Beatles stroke record collecting, although 99% of the time it is about the Beatles. I just thought I'd make that clear because somebody left a bit of a sarcastic comment the other day saying, well, if you Beatle Dave, why are you talking about a record by so-and-so? But as a Beatles collector, I am also a record collector. So I just thought I'd make that clear so that you know, if you don't want to see things about, other artists when I'm doing them, just skip or don't watch it. I'm not going to say it was, but I don't even think he was a subscriber, to be honest. I think it was just one of them that didn't have anything better to do on that day. Right, okay. First of all, thank you to everybody that is subscribing and liking my videos. Don't forget, if you do want to leave a comment, please do. I do try my best to answer comments, but it does all depend on what I am working, because obviously I work 12-hour shifts. I mean, luckily today, as of today, should I say, I've got a long weekend off, so I've done a few videos all on the trot here. So just because you haven't had any for a while, as some of you may know that are regular viewers, last week we did actually go for a trip to Liverpool. We do try and go twice a year because it is like our second home now, and we did buy quite a few things. And instead of just doing it all in one great big video, I thought we'd just take the time to look at the records that we bought individually. So, you get to see more detail. I can get to say more about that just one record, whether it be an album or single, whatever at a time. And obviously, you don't get too bored, do you? If it's only, 10 or 15-minute video. 1 second, I've just got a bit of a sore throat today. So nice, Kevin mug. That's better. I do apologise for that. All right, so as you know, we bought quite a few records. Some of them we've already put on, so please check them out as well. If you ever go to Liverpool, there's quite a few record shops now in Liverpool. Some will just sell brand new records. Some will just sell CDs. Some will sell a mixture of new records and secondhand, and then some will just sell secondhand records. So because we've been going for quite a few years now, we sort of know where to go. So we basically, most of the records that we bought this time were from Dig Vinyl on Bold Street and from the Beatles shop on Mathew Street. We've done most of the Dig Vinyl ones. There's still a couple we've got to look through on there. And I have just done one on that one that we did get from the Beatles shop. But this is another one that I was lucky enough to find. But the lady, a very, very nice lady that was in there, I can't remember your name, Ducky, I'm ever so sorry. But she was very, very knowledgeable. And when I was on about things, she's going, yeah, well, you know your stuff, don't you? And I goes, yeah. And, I did buy quite a bit of stuff off them. And I did say I'd give them a mention because, that is the original Beatles shop. That was all that was at Liverpool was one time. It was anything to do with the Beatles was that shop. I think it's been open since 1983, if I remember rightly. In fact, I think the first time I ever went in there, I went with my mother, and I think the Albert Dock and everything was basically ruined at the time. All the water was all silted up, and it was like there wasn't no glass in most of the buildings and things like that. But that's going off the topic. So we're going to look at one of the, well, I think it's one of the best Beatles albums ever. Some people will say it's one of the worst, but it was the first one that they actually did on their own Apple label. I always call it the White Album, but sometimes I get told off for that as well because some purists will say it's not the White Album, it's the Beatles. But there's quite a few albums just called the Beatles if you look worldwide, so that's why I always call it the White Album. And even Paul McCartney calls it the White Album now, doesn't he? It is a UK original first press, from what I can make out, from 1968. And it is a fairly lowish number. It's 0528866. In the UK, all the original mono and stereo Beatles White albums were supposedly individually numbered. Whether they were individually numbered or not, I don't know. Because they want the game to have some sort of like fire draw or something, want they? So it is a gatefold. So about the glare off the light, it's fine. So this does actually say stereo on the back as well. To be fair, it isn't fairly nice condition. Saying it isn't original. The only downside to this is it doesn't have the poster or the photos with it. But then again, for what I paid for it, I don't really think that matters. Original UK copies of the album, what they call a top loader, so you actually get the records out from here like that, not at the side like you do on later ones. And I'm sure you all know the track listing, so I won't go into that. You do get flip back sleeves on it as well, there and there, top loader, because it comes out there. Some say the wide spines. I mean, every one of mine looks different, and I basically got this because when it was the 50th anniversary of this, was it 50th or 51st? I can't remember now. I actually did a video, and I'd got 19, and I don't like odd numbers, so basically this was, because it was a good price as well, makes it up 20, doesn't it? So you do get the original Apple black sleeves. They're original because the originals are die cut at the front and full at the back. Some people on eBay and other sites are selling ordinary black ones where you get that goes straight through, and saying that they are original Apple ones. They're not. See what I mean? That's how it should be for an original one. Okay. These do have an EMI recording on them, because some don't. Some don't say an EMI recording on them, believe them or not. It does need a little bit of a clean. I'll admit it does need a clean. You still get the sold in the UK text. PCS 7068, and it's YEX 711/1, and then you've got GG12 or something in the run out with GG12 there. So this is wrong because this is actually side 3. That's side 3, and then that is side 4. Yeah, YEX. So that's YEX 712. Then that says stroke 2. Then that says GDP, I think, in there. So that's a 2, and that's a 1. But that is sides 3 and 4. It is actually in quite nice condition, then. Yes, it does. It doesn't really need a clean. It just needs a wipe. It's got dust on it. Oh, see, I do all my videos live. I don't edit anything. Try to keep it as real as possible. My videos. That is in really, really nice condition. And you do get the Apple publishing credits for George and Ringo songs on this, where later copies you don't. It goes to Harry Songs and Startling Music. It's actually a shame that they're posting that lot aren't with this, but in all fairness, it's not the end of the world, is it? You can buy reproductions if you wanted to. So this is side 1 and side 2 now. Must be me when I was looking at it. So you get, that is YEX709/1, and that just says G in it in the 2. So side 2 is YEX710. That is a 1, and then it says RL and a 2. Again, you've got sold in the UK text, and you've got the EMI recording. When I say EMI recording, it just says EMI recording there. On some of the first, like, really first issues, you don't get the EMI recording, but I think that was more on the mono ones, if I remember rightly. Produced by George Martin, orchestrations by George Martin. This one is actually in really, really nice condition, to be honest. So that is side one. And then that is side two. Still nice to have, aren't they? I love the original ones. I really do. Yes, I've got repressings, and I've got like early ones from the 70s right up to the issue from 2018, was it? But I think this one is the best one out, the original, whether it's the mono or the stereo. To be honest, I do prefer the mono mix. I will admit, I do prefer the mono mix. And it has got both of the original inner sleeves, which some of them don't now. If they've got reproduction sleeves and you know the reproduction, then that's fair enough, isn't it? So all in all, I'm very, very happy with this. Just check that there's no other goodies in it, because you never know, do you? No. So the sleeves virtually is intact, isn't it? Really, really nice. Just a little bit of wear just there, look. I won't go into the song listing because you all know that. A little bit of discolorization just starting to come through. But then again, like I say, this is 54 years old this year, isn't it? 54 years old. 54 years old. So that is the Beatles by the Beatles, otherwise known as the White Album. First Beatles album on Apple Records, released in Apple Records in the UK. See, I can be posh when I want to be. As you may know by now, I don't take myself very seriously. Well, not too seriously, put like that. Like I say, I don't edit any of my videos. All my videos are live. Even if they're not streamed live, they're all live. I don't edit anything whatsoever. If I make a mistake, it stays in. Simple reason is because I want to try and keep this channel as real as possible. And the other reason is I don't really know how to edit. So, I'm not really that bothered. If you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. That's it. I hope you do like them. The Beatles White Album, it's very, very strange. I've always loved the album. When I did one of my top 10 of the top ranked the Beatles albums, I think that was in my top 3. A lot of Beatles fans don't actually like it because there's that much variation of music in it, and because technically that was the official follow-up to Sergeant Pepper, wasn't it? It is more rocky in places, but then again, there's a lot of ballads on it as well. And that you've got Ringo singing "Good Night" and he does his "Don't Pass Me By" and things like that. George's songwriting on there is absolutely fantastic, and you've got one of the best Beatles songs ever on that, which I think should have been a single at the time, which is "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." I think it should have at least been a B-side, to be honest. Really do. I think it's one of the best songs that the Beatles ever recorded. But that's just in my humble opinion. And I've only been collecting Beatles records for 40 years. So, so the Beatles White Album. All important question. What did I pay for it? Well, what would you pay for that? An original UK stereo gatefold top opener. Bear in mind it hasn't got the poster or the photos, but it did come with the original inner sleeves. And the records I would class as a minimum of very good plus. Very good plus. I'd be tempted to say very good plus stroke excellent. Yes, they do need a wipe over, don't get me wrong. I paid £69, I think it was. But I say I paid £69. I don't think I did because I bought quite a few things off them, should I say. They did actually knock me a little bit off. But looking on eBay this morning, the only one I could find that was anywhere near this sort of condition Okay, it did have the poster with it, but it didn't have the photos. But the poster was held together with sellotape, so it basically worthless, wasn't it? And one of the records had a really, really nasty scratch on it, but it was a stereo. It was a higher number than this, but it was in a similar condition. That's what I'd say. I mean, for the sleeve and everything. And they wanted, I think it was £85 for that. I've seen another one. I mean, you can get battered up copies off certain selling sites for £10 upwards for this. But that had got the wrong discs in it. It was the right sleeve cover. It was the top opening sleeve, but it got the records were from the 70s in it, so it didn't have the sold in the UK thing on it. And I think they wanted 50 quid for that. I'm sure they did. So I'm very happy for what I paid for this. You know, I know people are going to say, well, that means you've got over 20 copies of the White Album. Now, yeah, I have, but virtually everyone is different. Slightly different pressing, slightly different credits on it, things like that. You know, I've got some foreign pressings. I've got one on white vinyl and things like that. So if you ever go to Liverpool, do me a favour, go and see the lovely people at the Beatles shop at 31 Mathew Street. So remember, it's at the bottom of Mathew Street, so it's not where the cavern is, it's right at the opposite end. And like I say, that I think I'm sure they were there before they even reopened or rebuilt the cavern, whichever way you want to put it. I remember I went with my mum years and years ago, and like I say, you know, it was the very early 80s. I'm sure it was about 1983, 84 at the very latest. Like I say, the Albert Dock and everything was nothing like it is now. And Liverpool was still, not being disrespectful in this way, still very run down city at that time, where now it is, you know, it's one of the most beautiful places to go in the world. Don't listen to it, but Liverpool is a very, very large city. We've been going best part of 7 years now, and we do usually go at least twice a year. We've never had any trouble whatsoever. The people there are really, really friendly. You can still get some bargains. I mean, I even got this one. That was from the Beatles shop. It's not an LP. It's just a poster to put on the wall of the famous Butcher cover. You know, so, you know, treat people how you want to be treated. That's all I'll say. But that's the same as if you go anywhere, isn't it? So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope I've entertained you, because it is supposed to be a little bit of entertainment as well. Just remember, you know, I am just a record collector that happens to be a Beatles fanatic. So, like the name says, you know, Beatle Dave, 99% of the time it is about the Beatles, but from time to time I will do things on other artists just to keep people interested who don't just want to see me talking about the Beatles all the time. You know, I've got thousands and thousands of records. I've been collecting records for over 40 years. You know, in some ways I've got too many records, but I will still go out and buy them. You know, record collecting is whatever you want it to be. You know, you can have 50 records, you can have 500 records, you could have 20 records. As long as you enjoy them, that's all that matters, doesn't it? And don't ever think this isn't, I'm not knocking anybody or anything like that. Do you know when all these new reissues and stuff come out? I mean, I am guilty of it in one way, because I did buy a few reissues last year, like the All Things Must Pass and the Let It Be box set and things like that. I did buy them, but I bought them because I wanted them. Because I bought them for the extra discs that were in it. But don't think just because somebody on a channel, you know, I'm not going to say YouTube channel, but on a Beatles channel or a record collecting channel goes, oh, you must get this, it's the best thing. You buy it if you want to buy it. Don't think you've got to jump on the bandwagon. You know, in a lot of ways, I just prefer going out and looking for records in record shops. Yes, there's nothing wrong with reissues. And let's say that now, put the record straight there. There's nothing wrong with reissues, but all these big record companies have got to realise, you know, that the way things are going at the minute, the way bills are going, people have only got so much spare cash, right? And it's like, so far, everything that's come out ish with the Beatles, excuse me, I think has been good because you've got extra things and things like that. And George Harrison, you got like, I got the 8 LP set, so there was loads of extras in that, and I don't really think there was one bad song amongst a whole lot of that. And yet there were certain so-called fans and critics that ripped that box set to shreds, and I think it's brilliant. That's what I'm saying. I'm a record collector. I will collect anything if I want it. I've never ever felt forced to buy a record in my life. Sometimes I've like seen something and then walked past it, and then a few weeks later I think, oh God, I should have bought that really. The one thing that comes to mind is when they did the George Harrison box set a few years ago. It came out. Well, I mean, it's about 450 quid now. Which, don't get me wrong, I've got no worries, or I'm not bothered if somebody's got £450 and wants to go out and buy it. Buy it. In all honesty, if I had £450 spare now, I would go out and buy it. Basically, because it's got Brainwashed and it's got the Live in Japan album in it, which I haven't got. I've got all the rest of the albums, but some of them are like original copies from the 70s and stuff like that. Some of them in good nick, some of them aren't in good nick. So if I got it, it'd be one that I would cherish, but it'd be more to play every now and then, not like every day. That is one that I am still hoping to get, right? But I saw that just after it came out, and I was offered it for 150 quid, believe it or not. But at the time, I didn't have 150 quid. Where now I look, and the cheapest I can find it on any internet site is 450 quid. So should I bought it when it was 150 quid? Probably, but I didn't have the money. If you're a record collector, you will buy things when and if you've got the money to do it. And the exciting thing about going to like record fairs and going to cities and saying, "Oh, there's any second-hand record shops, there's no record shops," is just going and looking, because you never know what you can find. You will never ever know what you can find. If you watched one of my videos I did last week, I was lucky enough to find a UK mono copy of Yellow Submarine. Also, I was in Liverpool, the LP, not the single. Again, some people say it's not really mono, but to my ears it is. They'll say it's fake mono or whatever reduced. But you buy whatever you want to buy. Don't think you're forced to buy something. If you're watching my videos, I will always say, 9 times out of 10, I will say, yeah, if you come across that and it's a decent price, buy it. Which on that one, if you ever are lucky enough to find a copy of the Beatles, or the White Album as we all call it, and it's stereo and it's in something like condition like this, if it's under 100 quid and you can afford to pay that sort of money, I would say, yeah, get it. Whether it's got a poster or the photos with it, in one way, doesn't really matter, because sometimes they're fake, or say fake, they're not fake, they're reproductions. But that's it for today. I'm sorry I've gone on a little bit there. So as always, love your records, cherish your records, clean your records, but above all, please play your records. Don't forget, thank you to everybody that is subscribing. Thank you to everybody that is leaving comments. If you're new to the channel, hello and welcome. If you're a regular to the channel, still hello and welcome. Everybody's welcome here in Beatle Dave land. It is what it is at the end of the day. It's a channel about the Beatles, but it's also about record collecting as well. Like I say, sometimes we do things on other artists, not very often, but we do. So that's it for today. So that is my little review of the Beatles White Album that I purchased from the Beatles shop in Liverpool. I'm happy with what I paid for it. The album as a whole, I always give it a 10 out of 10. Always give it a 10 out of 10. I think it's, in one way, it's a little bit of an overlooked album in the Beatles catalogue, if there is such a thing, because people think, well, there's only Dear Prudence and Back in the USSR on it. But then it is that there is a very nice mix of music on there. It's like there's something for everybody on this album, which I think is why some fans don't like it, because they just prefer it to be like a rock album or a rock and roll album. Yeah, I love it. Always have done, always will do. So until the next time, it's Beatle Dave. Signing off from Derbyshire in the UK. Love one another, be kind to one another, and I'll see you all very, very soon. So keep happy. Oh, if you're in anywhere near Nottingham tomorrow, I think I'll have to double check, but I think there's a record fair on. Can't remember where it is. I think it's VR. I can't remember if it's AA Records or VRP Records. So that might be worth checking out if you've got a spare few quid and you want, take your missus and go for a few pints and treat her to dinner as well. And then if you buy your records, she can't tell you off, can she? That's what I used to do. All right. So once again, thank you, everybody. I hope I've made you laugh. I hope you've learned something. But above all, love and peace. And we'll see you soon.